Well, good afternoon, everyone. So you're probably thinking, having read your programme, what are we in for then? This is a bit interesting, you know, a bit strange, a bit new. First of all, I'd like to present to you, this is Jonathan Cordell, Tim Tattle, and my name is David Horton. We're from Watford. This afternoon we would like to present to you a radical idea. You'll know what it is, but you'll still think it's radical, I hope. This is something that we've been pondering over for many months, if not minutes. And our radical idea is that the world would be a better place if it was run by our mothers. How can we stand here and say this to you? Well, between us we have over 40 years of mother experience. Tim has been blessed with his own mother for over 17 years, a real tribute to his success. By definition, he is in fact a true mother expert. Having studied at the Royal School of Motherhood for 6 years, Tim now tours the country lecturing on all aspects of motherhood, wide and varied as they are. He regularly attends such prestigious mothers' meetings as the annual Cholmondeley Flower Festival. John is Professor in Mother Engineering, a rapidly developing yet controversial new field of technology recently pioneered in this country. He is currently working on the new Euromum project, which will see the development of a super state-of-the-art mother designed for operation in all manner of family terrains, hostile, like kitchens, bathrooms, and my sister's bedroom. As my mum always says, I wasn't born yesterday, which is stupid because that would mean that she was actually younger than I am. But the thing is, in this world today, mothers have to have this level of shrewdness and sarcasticness, if that's a word, in order to survive. But the question is, could they run the world? Over to you, Tim.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers and non-mothers alike. I am here to speak to you today about a topic close to the hearts of both my fellow team members and myself. Today, many problems face our planet. On a global scale, the hole in the ozone layer continues to widen, the questions of world debt continually cry to be answered, and poverty, famine and war continually fight for our attention on the nightly news. Domestically, within the shores of our fair isle, extreme weather conditions lash our coastline. We've had our tattered footballing prestige restored by a root vegetable, and foot and mouth has made even visiting Baker Street from the wilds of Hertfordshire a life-threatening mission. Problems continue to go unsolved, with people merely blaming others and taking advice from Anne Widdecombe. We, as free-thinking members of the 21st century, want to change this, improve our society, pass on our thoughts and opinions, in the hope that you, as intelligent and incredibly well-dressed members of our society, will appreciate our ideas and accept that what we are saying has never been tried or tested before. I must emphasise that we are not another militant faction campaigning for world domination with ourselves as world leaders, nor a band of Bolshevik intellectuals pursuing the ideals of a leaderless state with myself and my colleagues as overseers. No, we realise the futility of such actions and recognise that we do not possess the necessary qualities or experience. Therefore, we consequently place our support in the members of society who do, with grit, determination, intelligence, and the constant provision of a clean tissue. To you, we say mothers. The mothers of our world are unique. No other members of our societies have such a built-in protective inclination toward both their children and other people's. However, we propose that this be but one of their qualities. Who do you turn to when something is lost? Something that, in your opinion, will stay lost and could never be found? Would not the Holy Grail have been found sooner, and with less disruption, if instead of Lancelot, Gawain and the boys, King Arthur had sent their mothers? I know that personally my mother possesses the divining skills of a shaman, and has managed in her time to find things that I didn't even recognise because they were. Think about this, inflated to an international level. Truman, Stalin and Attlee were wasting their time at Potsdam. The division of post-war Europe and the troubles it entailed were crying out for the maternal touch. If their mothers had been present, perhaps concerted policy would have been maintained, dealings might have been amicable, and the curtain that later divided Europe would most probably have been lace. I put it to you that the mothers of our nation are renowned economists, Would there be the financial problems that there are today if each Chancellor had to ask his mother for enough to balance the budget deficit? Would terrorist leaders be able to purchase the weapons they needed if their mothers looked after their money and had sensibly used it to pay the milkman? Is it not true that mothers manage to feed an infinite number of last-minute guests on a budget, no matter how small? Or more often than not, sacrifice their own expenditure so that their children are clothed, fed, and can have that new PlayStation game? Put these women into countries suffering from famine, and they will make that few pigs and that bag of rice into a bacon risotto that will feed an entire town. Another built-in quality so often ignored, I think, is that of diplomacy. Who will speak to anyone at any time in any place? Who would phone your friends and organise your play dates? Who made sure that you didn't fall out after you painted your friend's hair and trod on his gerbil? If Mrs. Hitler and Mrs. Chamberlain had met at a bus stop in 1938, they probably would have had a little chat, praised each other's dress sense, and maybe even arranged for little Adolf and little Neville to meet. But left to mere non-mothers, things got out of hand. If world leaders were accompanied by their mothers, surely proceedings would be smoother and more refined. In 1962, at the Cuban Missile Conference, would Russian Premier Khrushchev have dared to bang his shoe on the table if Mrs. Khrushchev and Mrs. Kennedy had been present? No. Because he would have known full well that Mummy would have said, "Krashna bloshit, Krushy!" Which, as you all know, is Russian for "wait till I get you home." We as a team propose our own answer to the Keith Vaz doorstep challenge. Rather than allow our Minister for Europe to evade our questions on the single currency and passport shenanigans, I suggest that you enlist the help of a woman who makes the Spanish Inquisition look like a morning with Trisha. David's mum. Also, with no disrespect to Mr. Annan, we feel that the United Nations could benefit from a woman's touch, and as a result feel that a certain lady be given the chance to put her unrivaled skills of enthusiasm, diplomacy, and napkin arrangement to the test. Jonathan's mother. Back home, anyone who has tried to visit either Nottingham or just anywhere else that's supposedly accessible by train will realise that those in charge probably don't get much job satisfaction. We therefore propose that those in charge be exiled to the wasteland that is Milton Keynes, replacing them with one of the most astute and organisationally capable women around, my mother. I would merely conclude, ladies and gentlemen, by emphasising our dedication to this cause. My ambition is to be a mother. John thinks he is a mother. And our chairman is 3 weeks into a course of life-changing medical alterations. He will be a mother. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I ask you to remember that mum's the word.
Very much, Tim. At this point, I'd like to ask, are there any questions? And whatever there are, I'd like to hear them. So are there any questions?
Hey, David, you have stunned us. None of us can think of anything to say, except, I'm sure, on behalf of the mothers in the audience, we do thank you, and we look forward to this wonderful utopia.
Without further ado, I hand over to John Cordell.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, can I take this opportunity to thank Tim for that mother of all speeches? I must tell you that I found it to be both thought-provoking and moving. And I think you will agree that this previously unthought idea was presented in a most considered and thoroughly logical way. Tim mentioned the diplomatic abilities of mothers. This is one point that I can personally support. For if it hadn't been for the playground chats, or rather peace talks of our mothers, I very much doubt whether Tim and I would have survived infant school. I also find myself agreeing with Tim on an economic level, for I know that my own mother will not allow me to spend 1 penny of her hard-earned money on such fripperies as clothes. So I can't imagine another of her kind permitting the spending of close to £1 billion on what amounted to be a rather large circus tent. Speaking of economics, our Chancellor, Mr. Brown, is an obvious subscriber to Tim's beliefs. For in this month's budget, he extended paternity leave to 26 weeks and almost double maternity pay, a clear sign of respect being given to those who deserve it most. Mr. Brown also expressed his intention to lock in stability in the long term. Had he been here today and heard Tim's speech, I think he would have found a solution, for I cannot think of a more stable group of people than mothers. In conclusion, I think that, like me, you will have found Tim's to have been a radical yet totally convincing argument. Once again, thank you, Tim.